All right, my name is David Ginsburg. I'm president of the Suburban Chicago Apple Users, and I wanted to, and I've been leading this group for quite a long time, and I think everybody knows who I am, so we'll just go ahead and get started with what I was going to talk about today. Of course, the Spring Loaded event just occurred this last couple of weeks here, and I wanted to go through and actually make some decisions here. I mean, decisions. I wanted to make some reviews of some of the things that were going on here during that event here. So, a couple of things here is. We had four basic announcements during that session. Let's go ahead and start with AirTags. AirTags was the first thing here, and I actually have an AirTag. If anybody could see that on my camera here, they just came yesterday, and I'm pretty excited to get started with this. Let me share my screen here, and kind of go ahead and go ahead.
Actually, Dave, would you mind showing us something to compare that AirTag size to? Do you have anything on your desk?
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody sees that AirTag there. You want to? What do you think I should compare it to, Craig? There's the iPhone.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's okay. Great. Thanks.
You have a quarter handy, Dave?
Yeah. Let me go grab one behind me here.
Who uses coins anymore? But still,
right.
I know I have.
Unless you shop at Aldi.
Here. Is this a quarter? Yeah, there it is. So there's the quarter, and there's the there's the AirTag here, so you can kind of get a perspective of what the size is here. So, oh yeah, just less as compare it to my hand. Yeah, so it's so I got the 4-pack, and actually I had it engraved. Anybody can see on the back of that. I just put my initial and a number on it, so I have like 4 of them. So it's easy to identify that. So we have that. So, but let me just go ahead and share my screen and just talk through some of the things that is talked about with AirTags here. So this is actually Apple's website. Everybody can see that, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
All right. So this is a really cool thing. It's a really easy way to track your stuff. And I guess the first question somebody asked me was, what would you use an AirTag for? And I actually, if anybody still can see my camera, I actually put it on my keychain. Everybody see that on the keychain there? So I've got this little holder. This was the Belkin holder. It was like around $12 that I got to start off with. And there was and there was that. So you have your keys, and you can put it on your backpack. So there's any number of ways to do it. And I'm not going to go too deep into detail this, because I want to make sure I cover everything that was announced this during the event here. So, but I wanted the AirTags is the newest thing that was here as far as that goes. It was really easy to set up, and as you see here in where it's actually showing you where the device is, it really is accurate, because I was moving around the house to see, it's going, it's going, really telling you how close it really is. It was really super easy to find it, and it's set up super easy. As soon as you pull the tab out of the AirTag, it actually started up, and it was working here. So. Let's see here. So, and then then let's and then it also works with the Find My service. So it's really a good way for being able to find things very easily. So, and of course they got all the accessories that go along with it. So, but the sound is very easy. You can hear it very, very loudly, and I think it was a great thing. But there was, like I said, there was a lot of things they could talk about. It's got lost mode, so you can find things even faster. And the other thing that they really stressed was the fact that there was privacy that's built into it. There is privacy, so you can't just take an AirTag and drop it into somebody's bag and expect that that's going to work. They do protect it with security. So, but during the iPhone SIG for next month, I'll probably go into a little more detail with this and go through it later. Like I said, this is going to more be a very simple overview of what we're going to talk about here. But as you see here, it actually does it on as soon as it senses it, just like an AirPods. It actually connects and does it very easily and simply. So, but battery life is supposed to be very good. It's supposed to be a year, and the battery is changeable, which is something surprising that Apple does, because we don't not normally have a product that actually will be able to change it. That's a standard battery too, which is even more amazing. It's the CR2032, which is just that little wafer battery we're also used to with a lot of our devices. And actually my remote for my car has that in there too, so it's a pretty common battery. So colors, I mean, all kinds of accessories. Of course, you can go crazy with the Hermes. I know I never say that right. It's Hermes, I guess it is. That's the leather ones, which are insanely expensive. So I don't think anybody be buying this. So, but that's what they announced as far as their tags go. Any questions? I can open up some questions about the AirTags. Anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask? If you have anybody questions, I see a few questions in the chat.
Are there any cases for it?
Oh, I haven't seen any cases. Again, this is, let me show, since I have full screen, let's have full screen now. This is the little keychain that I have here. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And there's many others that are out there. This was the cheapest one. This was like around $12, I think it was. Those other ones are like $35, so they're kind of expensive. But they have like luggage tag holders, but I haven't seen any cases yet. But I would not be at all surprised. I know there's a lot of third party already out on the Amazon site. The China knockoffs, you know those were coming. So
there was also one case, but I'm trying to find it now. I got an announcement of a sealed weatherproof case that I don't think it was 12 South. It was one of those guys though.
Okay, so they're coming. It's still really new. I mean, they were just I ordered it the order was a week ago Friday, and then they came actually late yesterday. So very, very new. So as far as having any of that kind of stuff. So
Waterproof?
They're waterproof. They're waterproof. Yeah. Let me bring up the specs here this is actually was from the actual event here. Let me share my screen here. We can bring that up. I can just kind of go over that real quick.
Not submersible, I don't think though.
I think it was yeah, here it is. If you guys can see that. It was
67.
Yeah, IP67 is the resistance. There's a speaker built into it, and I talked about the precision finding. And the personalization can happen. You could put like emojis and all that kind of stuff. And Siri support. Again, I said user replaceable battery, and the different tags and such. So yeah, it's really cool. I think that if you were in the Tile ecosystem, you may not necessarily want to switch to this, but I kind of like them. They're a little small. They're, like I said, a little bigger than a quarter, and the Tile opted not to be as part of the third-party service, because I think Apple was open, because they opened up the Find My network to third-party companies. So I can understand why Tile wouldn't want to jump into this if they so choose and be a competitor. But we don't know, because there was kind of a debate about that. But yeah, I know. I think they're really cool. It really depends on if it's something that you think it's neat. I mean, I think this application alone for keys is really good, because I'm sure most people are doing this. Sometimes I forget where I put my keys. Sometimes, as I'm sure many of us do. So, that is that. So, any other questions? I'm gonna go ahead and move on. The iPad. Oh, I'm sorry, Betty. Yeah, go ahead.
I need to find my iPhone. I often have it on airplane mode, and it sounded like it was something, if I could glue it to the back of my iPhone, that I could find it from another, like my iPad or my desktop computer somewhere.
Yeah, but you don't need you shouldn't need that. You should be able to find it. Find My, just do Find My, and it'll break out and it'll make noise. You can make it make noise even though you have it on silent, I'm pretty sure.
No.
Doing Find My?
Well, she said she had it on airplane mode.
Oh, on airplane mode? Oh, well, that's a different story. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, Betty, if it's on airplane mode, then it's basically created an island. There's no way for it to communicate. So I don't know if that's a practice you do a lot, or.
Well, it said if your phone was off. It sounded like it was possible if it was on airplane mode. I lose my phone around the house.
Yeah, I don't think it'll work when it's on airplane mode. So, I mean, if you wanted to put an AirTag on it, I guess you could, but I don't know if you want to do that.
Wasted my money then. But it
Oh, for
said
the-
you could use the app from your iMac, your desktop computer.
Yes.
And if
Yes,
I
you
had
can.
the AirTag on my iPhone, then I could find it.
That's
hunting
right.
around the
That's
house
right, Betty.
for
If you use the AirTag on your phone, that's in
That's
airplane
what
mode.
I
You
wanted to
you
do.
could do that.
Okay, good. I just wanted to be sure. Now I can get rid of my home phone.
There you go.
I used to find it.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm gonna go ahead and move on to iPad. I did pre-order, surprisingly enough. I did not. In my defense, I'm not one to buy everything all the time here. I currently have the 2018 iPad Pro. I did not upgrade in 2020. I thought there was no compelling reason to do an upgrade because the 2018 iPad Pro is very good. But the iPad Pro 2021 model that just was announced is pretty amazing. Let's go ahead and bring it up here real quick. Go to Apple here and bring this up so we can just kind of look at the new iPads here. So I did go ahead and I pre-ordered it yesterday, and I'm actually going to trade in my iPad Pro 2018, and they're actually giving me $455 as a trade-in. So not too bad for almost 3-year-old iPad. So the big discussion was the M1 chip. They upgraded it to the M1 chip, which is the exact same chip that's in the MacBook Pro M1 and the MacBook Air and the Mac Mini. And the other thing they did is they added XDR, a liquid retina display. Now the 11 inch is not going to be as high end as the 12.9 inch, but the 12.9 inch was a little rich for my blood because it's at the max end of it, it's going to be about $2,400. So you really need to be a serious computing person to want something like this. So let me just go right to the tech specs so you can just kind of compare here. So it's only going to come in 2 colors. So it's going to be the silver and the space gray. The capacities go from 128, which I was real happy to see. They finally increased that because for many years iPads were at 32 and 64 is the minimum. So now you're at 128. I went with the 256. That's what I had currently, which I'm fine with that. Then there's a 512, and you got to go all the way up to 2 terabytes, which is a lot of space and also can be very costly. One of the things they did with the specs is for memory, the RAM. What they've done is they've the models from 128 all the way up to 512 is going to have 8 gigabytes of RAM. If you get a 1 or a 2 terabyte version, you're going to get 16 gigabytes of RAM. So you will see some more increased performance. But the fact of the matter is the M1 is going to really make some headways as far as processing with that as well. So here are the specs here, and I don't need to go through a lot of this as far as the specs goes, but there's the differences in the displays here. The 11 inch is a diagonal LED backlit multi-touch display, and it's got the same technology, and the 12.9 inch is the same. But the biggest thing is going to be the pixels and the refresh rate. Now, the refresh rate too is, I'm not getting too technical. The 12.9 is going to have a 1,000,000 to 1 contrast ratio. So this I can't wait to at least to see it. I'm not buying it, but I want to see it as far as of it's having the highest end the screen that there is, and it's probably pretty impressive. But I think the 11 inch is going to be perfectly fine for what I need. As far as that goes. So they were comparing the 12.9 inch to like almost the XDR display, the $5,000 display, or the $6,000 display that Apple sells for their Mac. Excuse me. So it's going to be pretty impressive, and I think that the specs are going to be very, very, very high end as far as your need and what you want to do here. So, if you decide to get the cellular version, it's going to have 5G capability. I opted not to because I'm always carrying around my iPhone, so my iPhone is a hotspot, so I didn't find the need. And they did increase the price on having the cellular version of up to $200. So it's going to be pretty crazy expensive. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Your question?
Screen like the screen that you see at the Apple Store, where it's all these little LED lights on the 12.9?
It's a backlit. Yeah, it's going to be a mini LED backlit display. Yes. So it's going to be even more increased contrast and increased display from what they showed. It's going to be pretty incredible. So it's really going to, for you, Jerry, being a photographer, you might want something like something like this if you think it's going to be something that you're going to do a lot of heavy editing, and it almost could replace your Mac. You really could think about that, because that's really I think what Apple's trying to aim towards with this model, especially with the price. I mean, it's priced out as a MacBook Pro, really.
It sounds impressive. I haven't heard what the cost is.
Yeah, it's going to be at the top end. It starts at around. Let's go to pricing here.
You can go up to $2,600.
$2,600. Yeah, you could. It could be a high end Mac. Yeah, so the base price of the 12.9 inch is $1,099. Yeah, let's price one out and just have some fun here. I want 2 terabytes, so $2,199 if you get 2 terabytes. And then if you go with and then if you go to the cellular, it brings it out to $2,399. And then there you go. There's your base price right there. If you got you can almost buy a MacBook Pro for that price. So that's where Apple is really pricing this in the market to see if it's something that the pros are going to want to use, and they are starting to use them. And this is probably going to give an even more compelling reason to do it, especially with the M1 chip at processing speed. This is going to have 16 gigs of RAM that's built into it, so it's really a full-fledged computer.
Interesting. Have to watch and see.
Yeah. So let me just bring that grid up real quick. I always like these grids that they use in their presentations, so I always screenshot them. So just to give an overview of everything here. Battery life is supposed to be much more improved for both. The other thing that they added in the iPad is a Thunderbolt. So you have the Thunderbolt connection now, which is going to give us even more speed for connecting of external devices, including external hard drives. So you already could do that, but now it's giving you support with the Thunderbolt 4, and the USB for connections, which is really nice. So they've added that support. They also added this feature in for the camera called Center Stage. So the front-facing camera on the iPad. So if you move in any direction, the center stage has got a sensor that actually will move with you when you're moving your face, which is really cool. So especially when you're having you have Zoom meetings like we're having right here now. You can do it on your iPad, and then it's going to be work really well for you. So the storage is faster. So they're saying about 2 times faster storage. The camera, they've improved the camera tremendously. I never was a big person to use my iPad like this to take pictures with an iPad with the camera, but it's starting to become a pretty serious. It's starting to become a pretty serious camera and a competition, for other devices here. So. Face ID Wi-Fi 6, so it's got the most current version of the Wi-Fi, so you'll get the most efficient with that as well. They did add some improved mics in the device, so if you wanted to use it as a mic, or if you wanted to do four speaker audio, you'll get really good results with that as well. So I'm pretty impressed with it. So I decided to opt to the 11. I think I'm going to be more than happy with that, and it wasn't too bad of an upgrade for me, since I'm getting a nice reward with the trade-in with the old now. So it's with the Apple Care and everything, it's going to probably cost me about $500. So that's the iPad. I think it's going to be pretty exciting to see where things go with that. So any other questions?
Yeah. Do you think that competes with the MacBook Pro?
It could. It very well
could.
Or the
MacBook Air, at least.
Oh, it very well could. But of course, that's the debate with iOS versus macOS, as far as what operating system you think. And we actually had a debate on Mac Voices Live when the podcast I was on about whether or not macOS should Apple allow macOS to be installed on an iPad. It's an M1 processor. It's the same architecture. Should you do it? I don't know if it's going to be logical enough, especially the fact that macOS doesn't support touch, whereas iOS does, or iPadOS, I should say. So that's really going to be the determination. Could this be your full-time computer? It's funny. I remember at MacStock, I did a presentation about this many years ago during the time where it was very, very early in its stages of it could be potentially being a full-time device, but this is getting pretty close. I think.
Does
I think the operating. Go ahead, Frank.
Go ahead, Frank.
Does the MacBook Pro have that, what do you call it? Where it follows your head in the camera, that camera?
No, it doesn't. No, and in fact, the camera
So
in the camera in the iPad is going to be better than in the MacBook Air for sure. The only cameras that have been updated, and I'm probably not going to get to it today, is the IMAX, which has the 1080p, but that's still a camera that's not anywhere near as good a quality as some of the webcams that are out there. So yeah, it's not a very good. I mean, for iPads, yeah, it has a really good camera. So, did you want to add something, Bob?
I really think that we don't know yet what this new iPad hardware and software is going to do. So iOS 15 is going to be really interesting, and in a couple of months we'll get a picture into that, because there's so many things that could be enabled with Thunderbolt, and I know that with the horsepower in that, they can do some really amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
So my comment, this is Craig, is at first I thought, aha, finally, people have been asking for a touch screen Mac, but instead we're going to get a Mac OS running on an iPad. But now I've really changed my thinking. I think the strategy here is that Apple's trying to get, from listening to the executives give an interview, they were just talking about giving a lot of headroom to the iPad so that developers could write really sophisticated software. So I think what we're going to see is Apple's strategy is that they want all the success that they've had with their iOS devices, they want that to rub off onto their Macs. And so they're trying to just make a nice, easy hardware for developers to create more sophisticated iOS apps and then bring that to the Mac and boost the Mac development.
Yeah. So now this is going to be a good topic for the Tech Sig coming up. So, Craig, so good plug for you there. Is that we'll probably get some more debate about that. So, unless there's any other questions, let me just move on real quick. I wanted to touch on Apple TV a little bit. What they did was we were all surprised at the fact that they upgraded the Apple TV. I mean, we've been waiting for many years. I mean, the Apple TV hadn't been touched in like 4 years. So we kind of knew there was going to be a new remote, thank God, because that old remote is horrible. So a couple things I'll just talk about here as far as what they've added. The Apple TV is now going to come in a 4K version, and it's going to have 32 and 64 gigabytes of storage space choice. They're still going to be selling the HD, surprisingly enough, and that's the low end model, which is not what a lot of these things have here. And this grid here actually shows some of the features that were added in the Apple TV. One of the coolest features I thought was they added here is this color balance with the iPhone. And what that is you can you have your Apple TV, and this actually is going to work with the HD or the old 4K model, and it won't go with obviously with the third gen. So pretty much any of the Apple TVs from the last two plus the two that are being released is going to be able to do this. It has a color balancing feature. So what it does is it allows you to be able to go into the setting, and it allows you to take your iPhone, use the front-facing camera. You put the front-facing camera onto your TV screen, and it calibrates the color, and it gives you a comparison of the two. It doesn't calibrate your TV, but it calibrates the TV to work better with color using your Apple TV. So I thought it was kind of a cool feature that they added to be able to do that. They did upgrade it to the A12 Bionic, so you're going to see some improvement in performance. And also what they did was they added Wi-Fi 6 on the new devices. So if you still have old devices, you'll still be using Wi-Fi 5. So it might be slightly slower, but you probably won't notice much of a difference. The new Apple TVs are also going to have a built-in smart home hub, so you can use it as a hub for all your smart devices. It will do AirPlay in Dolby Vision, which is going to be a cool thing that they'll be able to do as well. So they really added some cool features to it. And I think I had another grid here that, yeah, this is just more of their recycling. We know that they do a very good job of recycling. But I think the Apple TV is going to, I think it's going to do well. As I said, this remote game changer, finally, they've put a power button here at the top here, so you can actually turn your TV on and off with the remote. And they got rid of the touch on the remote, and now it's almost like an old iPod dial here now, and it spins around and around. But all the buttons are very similar to what they were on the other remote. But and then it has Siri built in, so there's that. So briefly, I mentioned the Apple Card. They added Apple Card Family, so now you can, if you weren't able to have two people on one account, they added the Apple Card, so you can merge that, as well as be able to have family members on the account with allowances if you have kids, helping them build their credit. They did that. Then they made they also announced Podcasts Plus, which is going to be a subscription service for podcasters, which a lot of people aren't probably going to care too much about that. But other than the fact that you'll still get podcasts for free. I think that was one of the biggest things people were making a huge deal of, is the fact that, oh my God, I'm going to have to pay for a podcast. No, it's just going to be extra content that a podcaster may choose to, as they do now, that some people charge for. So extra content, that kind of thing. It's giving podcasters opportunities to do that. So the minute or two left I have here. Oh yeah, the other thing too was, strangely enough, they're offering Apple Care Plus on the Apple TV, which I don't understand. I never did. $29 you're going to buy for the Apple TV Plus, and you'll get and the Apple Care Plus will be covered for it as well, giving you the opportunity, if there's a problem, if the cat knocks the Apple TV off the shelf and it falls and drops, you have accidental damage coverage on your Apple TV. So any other questions about what was announced at the event, or any of the products that I covered? I'm happy to answer them.
One question, Dave. Did the iPhone's Apple TV remote, I thought, would be better than the other one, the one that I have, because fast forward and everything is a crapshoot with the zipping forward and back. So I found that I could do clicks, and it would just advance at a certain amount, okay, on the phone. But then when I go back to the show, the lip sync goes out when I did it with the phone. It doesn't do that with the remote.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm hoping they fix that glitch.
There is a wireless audio sync tool that's in the Apple TV that they added that you might want to try that to see if you're talking about Apple TV, I'm assuming, or you're talking about iPhone.
Yes, I'm talking about Apple TV.
Yeah, if you go in, there is an actual menu that provides a sync
in the settings of the Apple TV.
Yes, it's called wireless audio sync. Yeah, check that out, and it can do a sync, and you actually put the iPhone up to it, and it does an audio sync for you.
Excellent. Okay, thank you.
All right, my time is up, and appreciate everybody who's listening. Hope you enjoyed what I provided. And
wait, Dave, I have one question.
Oh yes.
So has anyone seen a comparison of the M1 chips to the older chips? I'd like to know how like a 2018 MacBook Air is comparing in speed to 2021, MacBook Air with an M1 chip. I haven't seen those speed comparisons.
I have not seen anything in here, Michael. Honestly, I'm not sure if anything's been published out there. So
I'm just surprised, because every time we get a new chip, there's always a speed comparison. And it's like, this M1 chip is supposed to be fantastic. Great. I'd just like to know how it's comparing to the old stuff, because otherwise, is it really worthwhile at this point?
So there's nothing on YouTube?
Didn't it go on sale yesterday, I think?
What?
Yeah, just the iPad. You're talking about the Mac. You're asking about Macs, right?
No, I was
I'm
saying
asking about Macs and iPads.
Didn't iPad M1?
It just went on sale. Yes. Yeah, so it's not out in people's hands just yet. The new iPad. So
usually some reviewers get like a
Yeah, maybe they just got it actually just went on sale yesterday. So
Okay,
they
wow.
may have gotten a review and say, yeah, we probably have to check people like Justine and Marcus Bromley and a lot of the influencers that get, are lucky enough to get Apple devices out
I'm
of
just
everybody
being
else.
impatient, I guess.
No, I know, I'm with you, but I'm actually with you.
Because
here,
it's
so.
like, you want to pre-order something, but like, is it really worth it? I mean, there's some great advantages, but let's, how's it run in the real world?
Yeah,
That's
for
my-
sure. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. So, with that, I will go ahead. I'm going to hand it over to Michael. Michael DJ Eisenberg. He's the tech savvy lawyer. He's became a member of our group. Gosh, it's been what? Has it been 6 months now? 6 months, a year? I think.
I think about October when I first
so-
presented the
Yeah,
digital
so-
afterlife back
You
then.
did, and
Dave, go ahead.
and
Sorry.
go ahead. And he's an attorney, and we'll gladly having him present here at our group today, talking about snippets, shortcuts, and text expander. And we're looking forward to your presentation. Then I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, Mike. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, David, and thank you, Davis, for inviting me back to present. And, evidently, Davis had expressed to me that today I was going to be the keynote speaker. But then when I found out that David was presenting about the M1 chip and all the different new technology that's coming out, I'm like, I don't know if any presentation I give is going to get.
And you need.
Sorry. Oh, someone asked a question.
Oh no, don't think so.
Okay. So I'm not sure I'm going to be able to top that, but I will do my best. So as we, I need to share the screen. And as everyone knows, or may remember, I use multi-desktops. And let's see, 3, 2, 1. So as I'm balancing out the Zoom and also balancing out the Zoom, and sorry, occasionally we have user error.
Gotcha.
And can everyone see?
Yes.
Excellent. All right. So, okay, nice. Sorry. So today we present snippets, shortcuts, and text expander. Oh my. The presentation is all about typing shortcuts. And why do we need typing shortcuts? Because quite honestly, we need to save time. We need to save money. We need to save brain power. So I want everyone to imagine they have a mason jar, a jar completely empty, and next to it you have a bag of pennies. And for every tip that we talk about today, it's not going to be like, oh my God, this is the most incredible thing in the world in the sense of this will solve all your problems. But for every tip we talk about is worth a penny in the jar. And every time we use that tip will be multiple pennies being saved up over time. So let's ask ourselves, what is a snippet? A snippet is traditionally defined as a small part, piece, or thing, and we can get that from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. But how is a snippet defined in terms of text replacement? A snippet is a short form spelling of a replacement. For example, correct spellings. For example, when you spell correspondence with an A, but you really mean to spell it with an E. Or you want a longer version of the text. For instance, if I type Michael, or if I type Mike, I want Michael. Abbreviations. If I type B/C, I really want it to mean because. Or a complete set of text for an abbreviation or a snippet. For example, disclaimer. For disclaimer, the information on this presentation does not constitute legal advice or create an attorney-client relationship. And what is a trigger? A trigger is when you type a snippet that automatically executes into the replacement text. But before we talk about text expander, let's talk about the free stuff, the stuff that's already baked into our system. And that is Apple's keyboard text shortcuts. You have the ability to do some basic typing, some basic typing snippets with Mac OS. This is what I consider to be the very basic to basic area of the presentation. So imagine it's Curly doing it and Curly being educated. How to with Mac OS. It's very simple. First, we go to our Apple in the menu bar. We go to Systems Preferences. And if you see there sort of on the middle, near the right, you see Keyboard. And finally, under Keyboard, you see Text. And if you look below, you'll see the plus and minus sign. And what you do is if you click on that plus sign, I'll give you a new window below to say, if I type Mike and have it replaced with Michael, it will automatically be done. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, well, we have spell checks. Why do I need to do this at all? Because these common spelling errors, these common replacements that you use, these common shortcuts you use, will ultimately save time when it's done automatically for you then, and that you don't have to worry about it correcting the whole document, whether you're using the spell check in Microsoft Word or Grammarly on whatever web portal you may be using, or in any other form when you're writing a letter. So what? I get this, but I need practical examples to understand why this is at all relevant. So let's talk about obvious triggers. Misspellings. Replace judgment with judgment. Replace correspondence with correspondence, an A with an E. Replace Davis with Davis. Now, believe it or not, I had a former clerk whose name is Hongjung. And with all due respect, that is not a name that I'm used to saying, typing. And I would constantly misspell it. So I created a text expander snippet that if I typed the snippet, the abbreviation, and if I just typed .h, her name would magically appear automatically. So I don't have to worry about remembering to try to spell her name correctly when I was typing. And trust me, when you misspell the name constantly, you just can't get it in your head, it really does come in handy. And as I mentioned earlier, granted, we have a dictionary in our word processing programs and programs like Grammarly to check our spelling when we're on the internet. But this saves time when correcting our own common mistakes by automatically doing it for us in the background. But you still need practical examples. So let's talk about some other obvious triggers, abbreviations. Replace PC with because. Replace BF with before. Replace OMG with oh my God, Michael's presentations are so good. Shortcut triggers. Contact information. For instance, replace blog address 1 with the first line of your address. Replace blog address 2 with the second line of your address. Replace blog phone with 202-515-1647. Replace blog email or blog mail or even Michael DJ at with Michael DJ at the techsavvylawyer.page. Replace membership emails with a line of emails of Adam at Apple, Bob at Banana, Charles at Cookie, Diana at Delicious. So for instance, if you have a litany of family members that you're constantly emailing, a litany of clerks or court staff or other members, it's easier just to have to remember that one shortcut than having to remember to put everyone on that list. And you can easily change the list of who pops out by going back into the Mac OS or going back into Text Expander. I think I mentioned I have anywhere between 1 to 5 clerks working for me. And when I want to send an email to all the clerks, I just type .clerk and all the clerks' emails pop out. And when a clerk comes aboard or is gone, I just automatically remove them from that, that list I've created. And if you have a various number of phone numbers that you need to remember, or work addresses, or family members, or other businesses that you're dealing with. I mean, I've got a blog, I've got a podcast, I got my personal stuff, I've got my work stuff. You know, it becomes a little bit hard to remember sometimes. And also, quite frankly, if I can type dot for myself, dot address number 1, and I get the first line address of my work address and also my blog address, it saves in the intricacy of having to type out 712th Street, comma, capital NW, capital STE 700. It does save time. And when you become a whiz at this, it's just amazing how much more time you spend and how common it is that you'll use this, not in just emails, but also in word processing documents when you're filling out forms on the internet, etc. So, other shortcut triggers, common phrases or sentences or paragraphs. Here's one that I use. Replace in anticipation with in anticipation of your prompt response, thank you. Replace legal notice with legal notice. This information presented in the email should not be construed to be formal legal advice nor the formation of an attorney-client relationship. Or replace outside with thank you for your email after a quick review of your situation, and on and on and on and on and it goes. And look at all that words I don't have to type. May be precluded, and goes on and on and on and on and on. So that's almost going to be 100 words by the time we get to the bottom of this. So if you type 1 word versus 100 and not having to remember what words you're supposed to use, not worried about misspelling or mistyping something, and not having to go back and spell check it, imagine all the time that you're saving. Some not so obvious triggers. Something to consider. Overlap. Sometimes you don't want a snippet to automatically be triggered when you type it out. You want the shortcut BF to refer to boyfriend and not before, or section to the word section and not to the symbol section. Or outside to just refer to just the outside and not a lawyer's disclaimer. So are you just stuck? The answer is no. You just need some simple planning. You need to set up your triggers in a consistent manner, and you've heard me hint to it in our conversation already. My trick, I always start my trigger with a period. Think about it. How often do you start a word with a period? your shortcut is now .bf, which will always trigger the word before. And if you type BF without the period, nothing happens. Section will always trigger the section mark. And if you type the word section without the period, nothing happens. Outside, or excuse me, dot outside will always trigger the long wordy disclaimer that some lawyers use and won't fit here. If you type out the word outside without the period, again, nothing happens. So let's talk about Text Expander. This is the paid stuff. What we're going to talk about today is the basic to the intermediate. So it's, again, curly with the education versus going up to a Larry Fine type of operation here. And now, forgive me, I'm not looking at the Zoom. Does anyone have any questions so far?
We're watching it, no problem.
Okay.
Fine, keep going.
Okay. Things you can't do with Text Expander. I'm sorry, things you can't do with Text Expander, you can't do with Mac OS. Everything that we've done so far on Mac OS can be done in Text Expander. But in Text Expander, you can also automate dates and times, formatting, plain text, formatted text, tabs, hyperlinks, form letters, and emails. Sync. You can sync across numerous devices, which is neat because not only can you sync across your iMac and your Mac and your iPad, but you can also sync with Windows. So if you have a team or family members and you want to share the snippets and the triggers, all you have to do is be on a Teams account, and whether they're on Windows or Mac, it doesn't matter, especially in the work or the home environment. Everyone's always a little bit different, especially with DIY or do it yourself and bring your own device to work. You're not always guaranteed that everyone's going to be on a Mac. So ask yourself, do you need the immediate date or today's time? I've set it up in Text Expander. Sorry about the misspelling. When I type .date, converts to May 1st, May 1st, 2021. And if I do it tomorrow, it will convert to May 2nd, 2021. If I type time, it will convert to, well, the immediate time. Obviously, it's not 11 a.m. here or 11 a.m. Central Time, but if I was to type out .time, the current time would automatically pop out. Now, I know what you're thinking is cool, but how did you do that? Nothing drives me nuts that when you go to a presentation and they talk about this is what you can do, but they don't show you how to do it. So let's see how we do it. This is not how we do it. This is just a puppy to relax us because we've been through half the presentation, and that is our baby Teddy. But what I'm going to do now is we should be out of the slideshow, and what I want to show you is live action, setting up time. Here we are in Text Expander. Is that coming up clearly?
Yes, sir.
All right, excellent. This is Text Expander, and you have a little search function. And if I type date, you'll see that they've already done this. They've already given you a tutorial date. There are like plenty of free snippets. And you're looking here and you see, well, month, date, year. Well, what if I want to create that all by myself? It's actually very easy. You have a variety of drop downs here. You want the month, and there's your field. You want to put a space because you don't want the month and the date to be right on top of each other for formatting. You can put it, different types of formatting for day. You can put in 1 or a 2-digit 01. We'll do the 2-digit 01. Comma, put in the comment, space, year. So you automatically have the current day, month, year pop out in this format when you type .date. Same thing for time. Hour, minute, AM, PM. Forgive me. And under the, so this is the day menu. This is the time menu that allows you to enter the hour in the format that you want. Military time, in 2-digit format, or military time 1-digit format, or the regular AM PM. Minute format, second format, and there's the AM PM if you want it. So if you just want to do military time, pardon me, put in the hour, put in a colon, put in the minute. So let me show you how we actually create one ourselves. Notice that this is already pre-made. You just go to snippet. You want to create a time. So we're doing the military time and then a colon. We go back to the drop down for time and we go minute. We give it a label. We call it military time. An abbreviation, MT. Notice here, sorry, you have the ability to have whether it's case sensitive that I have to use the lowercase m and the lowercase t, or have it ignore the case. So that whether you type capital or lowercase or some combination thereof, it will automatically come out. I always keep mine at case sensitive. Of course, you have the ability to do, respectfully as you choose. So let's see it work. Now, automatically, it's 11:55. Remember, I'm Eastern, not Central. So anytime I need that immediate time, I need the date, this will trigger in almost every Mac application you have. Whether you're on Safari, Chrome, WordPerfect, WordPress, Pages, on and on and on and on again. It really comes in handy.
Michael?
I'm sorry, was there a question?
Yeah, there's a question. The question is, do you have to disable spell check while you're using these triggers?
No, the answer is no.
Yeah.
So, because what happens is, think about it. All right, so if I type DATE, okay, and there's a spell check going on, even if they put the spell, like it's highlighted as something that needs to be corrected, it's going to change automatically. I've never had spell check interfere with using text expander.
Right.
Did I answer the question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You did. Okay. The demo was worth 1,000 words.
Okay. Thank you. Hopefully good words. All right, let's go back. So we've shown some examples of some basic automation there, and also some basic formatting. Now, I kind of jumped ahead. That's cool, Mike, but I need the day and time in a different format. So when I type military date, .military date, I get month, day, year. I'm sorry, That's actually day. I apologize. That's actually day, month, year, which is the military format. I do a lot of VA and military stuff, so that's why I have to have it this way. The alpha date, which is actually year, month, day, or military time, which we just talked about, converts to 1100, or you can put the colon there or not the colon in there, however you want to do it. Since we've gone through that, I'm not going to give more examples on that, unless there's something that someone wants to see. All right, hearing nothing, I'll move forward. Here's a neat trick. What if you need a date in the future or in the past? Sorry, strike that. What if you need a future or past date or time? How about 2 months in the future or 5 hours in the past? We're going to go back into Text Expander. And let's look at the military time. Now, do we see this calculator here? Date or time, math. So let's say, we're going to create a new one, I think. Let's say client or someone's contacting you and you know that, quite frankly, this is a routine contact and that you're not going to, that always when you have these when you're pushing out the date, if you will, you know it's going to be 2 months in advance. So you can add months, or quite frankly, years, days, hours, seconds, etc. But here we're going to add months. And I know that basically they need to contact me in 2 months. And then we need the proper format. Oops, sorry. The format. So let's just say we just need the months. So in May, 2 months from May is July. I'm going to call this months. Oops, we're going to give the abbreviation of month. It's in. So, you know, please contact me in, that should have triggered. And that was a programming error on my part. I apologize. Oh, because it was month, not months. In July. So this way you don't have to do the calculations in your head, you know, contact me in 6 months, contact me in 8 days, contact me in, you know, 5 hours, and the time is now 11 o'clock Eastern. That's going to be 4 o'clock. So it's doing the math for you. There's a lot of creative ways you can use this. I personally don't use it this much, but, you know, for each, you know, each may have their own ideas. Let me go back into Text Expander. Now you can add months, or, oops, you can subtract months or days or years or minutes. This is so that the calculation's done for you automatically. I don't have a real world example where I've subtracted time, but, you know, I do have real world examples where I have used in advance, but I don't use it that often. Moving forward. Let's go back. Use the same sentences or paragraphs over and over again, but with different information. In this example, I'm going to show you how I send an email I regularly send out for different clients when the need arises. So we'll pop out of there. Here is my email. Now, we're doing the end first, so don't be surprised and don't expect to know anything at this moment. When I file a notice of appearance, or in this case, .NOA, is a typical format that I always use. That isn't it. Something happened. So let's just say it's, my client's email is bob@aol.com. Bob Smith. See what's going on at the bottom there? This is how it's all formatted out. The decision date, we'll use today's date. Claim number, your social security. But you see how the fields are automatically filled in with the same consistent information? Bob Smith, Bob Smith, Bob Smith, Bob Smith's email, his VA claim number. And you see all of this, coding, if you will. I promise you, it's not that complicated. But once I hit OK, this is a correction I need to make at my end. But see how this is all filled out? It's a form letter that I use constantly. And I apologize, because what would normally happen is that it would pop out like this. And my mistake was I played with it before today's presentation, and apparently I screwed something up. But normally this is how it would pop out. These e-faxes these e-fax sends are e-faxes that I just fax through email to the government agency as appropriate. This way the client is automatically carbon copied, so he or she knows what I'm doing. Here's the notice of appearance, notice of disagreement for decision dated, etc. Request for C-file for bottom, and the claim number. So this is something I send out regularly, and it saves a lot of time in formatting and remembering exactly the wording I'm using. It saves time where I don't have to copy an old one, paste it over, figure out where I need to fill in, etc. We don't need that. So next example. How I send a letter, I regularly send out to different clients. Oops, I'm sorry, that went back one. Basically, I'm going to show you a letter that I send out. That's a common letter that I regularly will send out to clients or potential clients. So let's get out of here. Let's go into Word. Now, I send out what's called non-engagement letters, NEL. Bob Smith, yada, yada, street, yada, city, state, zip, potential. Now look what I have here. Typically I have usually one of 6 different areas that I'm responding to this person about. So we'll just select one. Again, Mrs., Mr., or Miss Smith. It was nice talking to you yesterday or last month regarding his veteran benefits. Notice that the 2 issues are consistent. And it's usually one of 2 reasons why I'll be sending this. Either since I haven't heard back from you, I presume you've either hired another attorney or decided to pursue the issue on your own, or as we agreed, we will not be entering an attorney-client relationship. And we have a little pop-up here. Pop-up didn't, sorry, there's a mistake here with this pop-up. I did actually, it's not there. But you see the letter comes out formatted to how you already have your Word document set. And we have the nice letter already prepared. We just need to put our signature line on here, and it's set to go. Now, normally on the draft letter, I already have the signature line, but one thing I use a lot is my salutation. If I'm filling out a form on the internet, or for whatever reason, the email just doesn't have it, this is my typical email salutation, with hyperlinks already embedded, my confidentiality notice, my legal notice. So all I had to do was type SAL, and it's all there. Minor adjustment. But again, imagine all the time I'm saving from either not having to reproduce this myself or finding it elsewhere, copying it, dragging it over. Actually, the example I meant to show you was actually a DEL, a disengagement letter, where I'm terminating the services of my services to a client, Bob Smith. And notice that came out properly formatted. My next example.
Michael, quick question. Did
Yes,
you embed
yes.
embed the salutation in the other snippet? Did you do?
You can, and I'll show you that. I'll show you that in a minute. You can embed other snippets in the snippet. So, for instance, so the way I've had, and actually the first example of the two I just showed you, I didn't mean to show you. I got confused in my head. But in the second one, that's the one I typically send. And in my letterhead template in Word, let me just pull back out of here. I have a letterhead template in Word. Let me see if I can pull this up for you real quick. Let's ignore that. Okay. So here is my letterhead typically in Word. And notice I have my letterhead already in my header, and I have my signature line down below. Sometimes I'll have it like that. Sometimes I'll have it like this. Sometimes I'll just have it like, oops. Like that. So that's usually already there. So when I put in the DEL, when I put Bob Smith, you can see it should not actually, I don't know why it went double spaced automatically, because it's already set for single space.
That's because it's a computer.
No, that's because somebody goofed, being me, because somehow the salutation got in there as well, and it shouldn't be in there.
Okay.
But it should pop out just like this. So that, and that's a typo I need to fix back in the text expander. But you can see this way, the letter just populates out automatically. And you can add so that you can add this part here as part of the overall text expander snippet, or you can embed a snippet within a snippet. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So before we get there, I want to just give you one more example of another snippet that I use commonly. This one is when I use a calendaring, I use it's called a client relations management program called Daylight. And in Daylight, sometimes I will calendar, here we go. I will calendar my appointments through that, and I'll send out invitations for an appointment through that. And I don't know why. There we go. I promise you something's happening behind the curtain. So let's say I want to have a client teleconference. Smith, Bob, issue. Let's hit the Tech Savvy lawyer page. See how it fill in the first form and then jump to the second form. And then I just kind of go, well, let's give me a phone call. And I set the time and whatnot. And I can, other Daylight functions that allow me to add people, invite people, add notes to this, etc. But the important thing is notice how this formatted out nicely and did it for me automatically. Now, I apologize. I realize that in the email fax that I showed you earlier, there are some things I didn't show you how to do that I did also in that example with the calendar. And in particular, I want to go back to the notice of appearance. I'm sorry, notice of appeal. And there's some things I want to point out to you as to how I automatically formatted it. First of all, here are the two emails that we saw at the top. Then I hit return. That goes to the next line, the C, from the to line to the CC line, where you put in the veteran's email. Now, what I should do is I need to add another return, because why? Why? Because it will go to the BC line, not the subject line. So I add in another return. And here we have a fill-in for the veteran's email. We just do a single line. We say, email. And it's already been done with veteran's email. We put in another fill-in, again, a single line for his name or her name. And if you copy and paste it elsewhere, it will be the same name that you put in top. So when I put in Bob Smith here, it will pop up here. It will pop up here. I think there was one other spot, maybe not. The other is also tabs. Notice that we had below the VA claim number. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong spot. Here we go. I'm sorry. From the top, we have the RE, what this is about in the subject. Let me do this. Sorry, it's not doing what I wanted to do. My apologies. You can have it tab over from the left margin over in and further out as you kind of watch my icon go. And then you can set it up so, return, this is what it says in the first line, hit return, it'll tab, hit return, tab. And you can see you can put in different information as you go along. we're just going to run this again. I apologize. As you can see, I fixed it from the first time. But it adds in all of this information. And Bob Smith, if you remember, that was something I had put in that I need to take out. But the tab here and here and here shows up here and here and here and so on. So it allows you to format your documents, whether it's a Word document, whether it's an email, something online through the internet web. And all of your keyboard macros, your returns, your tabs, entering, or if you need to escape out for whatever reason, are under the keyboard menu drop down. Now, I apologize, I might have botched that up, but hopefully that was clear. Does anyone have questions on that? Hearing none.
There's been a couple of comments about people who are already using the tool, using a different starting letter for the snippets, for the triggers,
yeah.
rather.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you can use a period, you can use a forward slash. I mean, you can use anything you want.
Right, yeah.
You could type www, you know, if for instance, for date, you could type, you know, DDAT for date. Or if you know, if you use a, you know, T, use for text expander, you know, DAT, you don't have to use, you know, my trigger, you know, my period as a trigger. In my mind, it's just that who uses, you know, a period to start any word.
Right.
And then on the other hand, if you just have an accidental typo and that you type TTIME, it's going to give you the date, not the word time. But to each their own. I mean, you know, there's no right way to do this. I'm sorry, there's no wrong way to do this.
Right. It's just alternatively, it's not cast in stone. I think that's the
Right.
key. Yeah,
absolutely. So let's go back. Now, in my last example, I want to talk about two things. One is embedding a hyperlink, and two, embedding a snippet, both of which are very easy. So what I use is a hyperlink to schedule a 25-minute client teleconference. If I type out .25 for 25-minute meeting, this line will pop out. And notice right here, there's a link. And that goes to my scheduling page through a service called Acuity Schedule. And we've had, like, you know, we know about Calendly, and there's several others. But adding a link to a word is easy, or phrase, or however you want to do it. Select the word, hit the hyperlink button here to insert a URL, pop out your URL, and then that word, when it comes out on whatever document it's expanded into, will create a link for your reader to click on to go to. Now, mind you, you can do the same thing with web addresses. Emails. I notice Text Expander won't work in Text Expander. Go figure. Or any other URL that you want to send it to. So let's go to notes. If you notice, I made some edits to my 25-minute client meeting portal. And there we have our links to send the client or the party or whoever where you need them to go. The last example is, embedding snippets within snippets. And I apologize, I'm drawing a blank for a second. Oh. There is a way to do it, and I apologize. I'm just having a moment, and I don't know why. One second, please. I'm very sorry. Oh, here. Sorry, forgot. All right. So let's say I want to have my salutation pop up there all the time after this types out. I go to the keyboard for the macros. I hit insert snippet and I type in the snippet. So there's your snippet within a snippet. And we go back into notes and we type in 25. The snippet pops into the snippet. So everyone see how that works. So the last thing that you're asking, at least for this presentation, is, to be blunt, how much is this going to cost me? As of today, it's billed on a monthly or annual basis. Of course, if you go annual, you know, you get a discount. If it's just you, it's $3.33. If you bill it annually, $4.16, it wouldn't bill monthly. If you're going to have a team or family usage out of this, $8.33 for the year, per month for the year. Excuse me, if you do the annual subscription, if you do it on a monthly basis, it's $10.41. And they do have a free trial. If you do a lot of typing and need to remember a lot of things while you do, or need as many shortcuts as you can get, because it is amazing how much time this does save me. I have snippets for the blog. I have snippets for the firm. I have personal snippets. It really is a handy tool to use. So perhaps another time, we can talk about more advanced stuff, about putting in Apple scripts, putting in a shell script, or putting in JavaScript. I want to thank everyone today for allowing me to come and present. If you have questions about this or other tech or software, my name is Michael DJ Eisenberg. I can be reached at michaeldj at techsavvylawyer.page, website of www.thetechsavvylawyer.page. And I do have a podcast, the techsavvylawyer.page podcast, which can be found both on Apple and Libsyn. Thank you. Are there any questions about anything we've talked about today?
I've got a question. Can you embed a graphic into a snippet?
Yes, you can embed pictures and graphics. So
Michael,
the answer is yes. Basically, when you go and create your own, you could put a a picture in here. Let's see if I can, bear with me 1 second. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Excellent.
I have
Now,
a
forgive me,
question. I have a question. Can you combine
Please.
dictation with this?
What do you mean? And I want to make sure I'm clear on this.
If I'm dictating a document, I'm using the voice commands to dictate a document. Can I use the shortcuts that or snippets by verbally inputting them and having them be affected?
I understand what you're saying, so I want to be clear. And if your computer has the ability for dictation and also has text expander on, or even if you're using a Mac OS, I believe the answer is yes. So if you say, period dot two, if you say to the computer period 25 and it types out period 25, then your snippet should automatically be triggered. That'll work on any computer or laptop, but the way the text expander works on your iOS, you have to actually execute the snippet in text expander and then copy and paste it over to where you want it. I'm not thrilled about that. And quite honestly, I don't think I really ever use text expander in iOS. I'm just not happy with it. And if they've changed recently, I'm not aware of that. So I hope, go ahead.
The other thing, I see a caveat, and that is documents that an attorney will create can have similar or even identical text from document to document to document, because they are not being copyrighted. If you're writing a manuscript or a dissertation or a thesis, that document is run through a computer program that looks for, and it's got a giant database, as it turns out. They're looking for similarities or identical text, because at that point you have to make significant changes in what you're saying. You cannot use copyrighted verbiage in a document of that nature. Every scientific paper that is submitted for publication gets run through that computer program. So I don't know if this would apply to writing or creating copyrighted material, because again, there might be slight changes where you can use it, but if you're using
what information am I presenting that's copyrighted? I mean,
in your case, you're not. In your case, you're not. But if I write a manuscript, which is going to be published in a journal, they're gonna look for I forget what the word is, where you adopt somebody else's writing. Plagiarism, right? It looks for plagiarism, and I'm not sure if this would be compatible with that or not. I just don't know.
But that has nothing to do with it. That's just the text you're putting in. So
that is correct.
And so if you put stuff in your text that is copyrighted, then that's on you. That has nothing to do with text expander.
That's true. That's absolutely true. But the point is, if you're going to be dealing with copyrighted material, the question becomes, can text expander actually in fact be used?
Well, but all text expander is doing, Dave, all it's doing is you write a piece of text, okay, that you need to write over and over and over again. All right. And you type a command in your normal text and it replaces it. That's all it does. Now it does a lot more than that, but that's all we're talking about here right now. So I don't see how that has any relevance to what you're talking about. Maybe I'm just confused.
But the problem is if I use that piece of text over and over and over again in multiple manuscripts.
Yeah, but that's your text.
And it's your manuscript. So if
It's your manuscript, so I see no issue.
Right.
I don't either.
When I you know, if I write a paper and I use a piece of text, okay, now I write another paper and use that same piece of text, and I keep doing that, it will
But
come
it's
up.
your text.
It's your
Aren't you
text, so
quoting-
it's your.
Doesn't make
yourself.
When it comes to the copywriting, it makes no difference
Yeah,
because
but Dave, it does because you wrote it, so it's your copyright. So
Yeah,
I don't think it's I don't think it's a problem. I really don't.
And if you're using someone else's text, I mean, in your text expander snippet, you need to hold on. You need to properly cite that source.
you cannot self plagiarize yourself. That is to say, you cannot use your own text more than once. You have to make changes in it or in a different context. Okay. This is getting. I mean, this is a real serious problem.
It seems esoteric, Dave. It seems like it's not something most people would run into. I'm confused, but that's okay.
I mean, to use it, you have to be aware of that. That's the point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That's the point.
Thank you.
I think it's less of an issue for this part of it because it's usually what you're doing is small pieces of text. You're not doing big paragraphs unless it's like explicitly a form letter, like in the examples we were talking about today, in which case the whole plagiarism.
In the scientific literature, they look at the text of the article. So for example, references don't count because the references are formatted to the journal and more than, I mean, it's a citation kind of thing.
Right. But I think you wouldn't be using text expander to do this kind of work, I think. Because typically text expander, these expansions, you could, but it's really not what it's good at. It's good at doing smaller things. Occasionally you might have a paragraph in there if it's a form letter or something like that, but I don't think it would actually help you if you're writing scientific papers.
Right. I can see where this would be very, very helpful if you're doing repetitive kind of things.
Yeah, exactly.
No question about it. I mean, it's really not. But I'm saying that if you were to try to do this in writing a book, well, writing a book is a little different, but certainly writing a scientific paper, you really have to be careful about the plagiarism business and the self-plagiarism on top of it. There have been papers that have actually been withdrawn from the journals for some of this stuff.
I think we're talking about two different things. I think we're talking about function of the program expander and the idea of snippets versus the content that you were using the program for.
I think that this particular program looks very, very useful. But what I'm saying is you have to be very careful. You want to try and apply it to writing a manuscript of any kind.
Absolutely. Michael, I have a quick question for you, just to bring it back to the functionality of the program. Either I don't know if you mentioned it or if I missed it, but you mentioned that this was fairly platform universal. Do we know if text expander, anything that you input on the Mac specifically, would transfer over to iOS and could be used in either iPad or iPhone?
Yes, I mean, it will. I mean, so if you have your account set up properly and you're syncing across devices, that's not an issue. But the last I looked with Text Expander on iOS, and it just kind of frustrated me, is that basically you pop out your snippet in their clipboard, and then you have to copy that over to what, like your Word document or your form that you may be online. So for instance, if you're filling out a form, inquiry form online through a web portal, and you want to like add your salutation to it, you have to go into Text Expander. You have to open up its clipboard function. You have to type out, in my case, .sal, The salutation will pop out there. You have to copy it. You have to select and copy it, and then paste it into the web portal form that you're using. So it's not like you can just, it won't just automatically populate out into whatever iOS application you're using.
That's not true anymore.
Did they fix that?
Yeah, they've
Oh,
changed it.
they have. Oh, do they have the keyboard now?
They have a keyboard. So the way you do it is you switch to another alternate keyboard as if you were switching to like a German keyboard or something like that. And then you just type whatever you want to do it, and auto does it. Now, I don't know, there may be limits on the fancier sorts of things that do tabs. I don't do that on my iPhone, but I use it all the time for stuff like that. And yeah, it's much better than it used to be.
Okay, because I remember when they had their keyboard. Well, first they didn't have a keyboard, and then when they came up with the keyboard, even then it was kind of wanky.
Yeah, no, it works very reliably now, and it's very fast. Apple improved the time it would take to switch between keyboards, which used to be a real drag. It would lag, and now it's very.
It just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Okay,
so I'm wondering,
thank you for sharing.
Yeah, as I'm hearing you both talk, I'm wondering if a text expander would be more, how do I say it, a more fluid shortcut, if you will, by using shortcuts and text expander together. You know what I mean? Like, because if I'm hearing what both of you say, it's not a really smooth process just yet to use text expander directly. But if you're in a document, let's say on your iPhone or on your iPad, that shortcut function may actually launch text expander easier. I'm just sort of thinking out loud. But
well, no, because what Margaret's saying is that actually the keyboard function on iOS is much better than it used to be.
I'm gonna test it because I wanted to use this. Yeah. This helped me a lot. I didn't understand some of the power of this thing. I just thought it was, just replace little snippets of text, but this does a whole lot more, Michael. I really appreciate this because this taught me a lot.
Yeah, you don't have to switch to the text expander app to be clear. It's a little weird. You have to install it on your phone and then turn on the keyboard in system preferences for text expander. It's a little funky, but once you get it installed, it works very seamlessly.
You need a text expander. You need to use the text expander keyboard then?
Yes.
Yes.
Got it.
Which is, people aren't used to switching keyboards, so they don't even know it's possible. So there's help on their website to explain how to do it. But once you get the hang of it, it's very fast. It's just, there's a button on the keyboard itself to switch.
Yeah, it's like switching into any other keyboard.
Yeah, it's like switching to the emoji thing. It's sort of related to that idea.
That's what I was sort of wondering when I was thinking, would it be even faster to embed text expander into a shortcut?
Yeah, you shouldn't have to do that, though, if it's got a keyboard. You should be fine. Right. Yeah.
Got it.
Right. If there isn't any other questions, we were going to probably try to bring this meeting to a close. We can carry this over into our afterglow. If anybody can stay behind afterwards to expand upon this, we want to bring this, unless there's any other quick questions before I do that. All right, great. So we'll go ahead and wrap up the meeting for today. I thank everybody for being here. I want to, for those of you watching the recording, be sure you go to our website at myscau.org. If you're not a member, you can join us by clicking the link on the webpage. You can also go to the non-members link, and there's also a link in there that you can join us as a guest, like Catherine did. She joined us today. Just sign up, and you'll be added to our mailing list, and we'll invite you to the next meeting to come on out. With that, I bid you good day, and I hope you enjoyed the meeting, and we will be back next time. Thank you.